you are only as good as your client counterpart. And by working with them closely, early and often, it does make better creative every single time.
What I want to hear more about is just how you guys operate, just because well, I want to know more about agencies in general. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've kind of just been stuck in-house for a long time. I'm not sure entirely what lends me to that. However, it is nice working for, and you said you did NBC Sports, so you were in-house,
Yeah, I was weirdly
right?
in-house. NBC Sports was the start. I worked at this place called QCM in Philly, and then Stranger and Stranger, JKR, Design Bridge. So like very much like the gamut of booze agencies for the most part, and full service brand or creative agencies. Yeah, one
Mhm.
had more of an advertising background, one was more of a brand background, one was more just like a CPG background because they were British. Stranger was clearly spirits only. So it was a diverse bunch of years and jobs, and then finished. It's funny, I finished my career at TikTok as like my like working career before I started the agency. So I was weirdly like bookended with in-house TikTok, which was their internal ad agency, and that was really weird. And that was more of a strategist role, which I do encourage other people to like maybe do, depending on like what your work situation was. So I got paid a lot to then kind of learn. So it was an earn and learn situation that helped me launch the studio. And now I'm like, that's my past like of working career. Now it's like taking all of that and bottling it up and putting it into Tavern. Yeah, so interesting with the in-house to the agency. Not saying you want this, but my last few calls with people have been like, I want to start an agency either now or one day. And I do really believe in grabbing a lot of experiences before you do that. So like it like luckily just worked out for me, but I do think some mix of in-house, some mix of agency, and every agency is relatively the same, but also very different from how they manage and how they do things. So I do think, and just like I'm assuming in-house is completely different, probably because sometimes you have really amazing, robust design teams. PepsiCo, for example, has like the chief, the COO, CCO is incredible, and like they have multiple different departments in different countries and offices, and that's really great. And I'm sure walking into that is like one thing with a lot of learning versus name the CPG brand that probably has like three designers and two of them are doing social media rollout, right? Like I'm sure it's just
Yeah.
a vast experience. You could probably tell me way more about all the different roles within in-house, but it is really good though because regardless of what you're doing and what the output is, in the agency side of things, you really learn how to work in teams and manage teams depending on your level and manage your clients if you're a design director and up, even senior designer and up. In-house, I do believe you really like hear the business problems, which like a design agency will say that they care about, and maybe the account team does truly care about that at the end of the day if they're really good. But the designers are gonna be like, fuck off, I want to do really great work. I want to like do award-winning work and so on, and that you almost are like, we know better, don't worry, fuck the client kind of thing. And I'm not saying we do this, but like I think deep down everyone's has a little bit of that agenda going on when you're creating work. But if you have that client experience, if you are on the client side and you hear the day to day and you understand the realities of business, I think that ultimately seeps into you. It did for me. It seeps into you, and my context is only entertainment and then social. Um, which is ultimately entertainment, really, because that's what TikTok wants to be. Um, and even with the lens of entertainment, I still have this deeper understanding of how that business works and how we're solving those business problems. And frankly, just to talk to non-creatives, to persuade non-creatives is a huge, huge benefit. So I think everyone needs both before starting an agency if they want to really like be successful. And I think that success lies in that because at the end of the day, yeah, it's about design. Yeah, it's about creative. But without a great relationship to your client, there's no fucking, you have no money and there's no point in even running the studio. You're just a chop house at that point doing mid work, most likely. It's very much all around that relationship. And that relationship is between a creative thought leader, creative strategic account thought leader, and a marketeer who is very much most likely, yes, they are creative. Yes, they have a design thinking background, but most likely more analytical just because of who they need to convince in their end of the business of things. That was a rant.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, you bring up a lot of the things that I've at least struggled with, I guess, in the past. Like, say, certain freelance jobs I've done before. Let me ask you this. You talk about dealing with people who aren't creative. I don't think I've ever necessarily done that in the sense that, of course, a lot of clients sometimes do want to have these certain ideas rather than build the best brand possible. Like Tavern's got a lot of great work. I can tell you somehow are able to build beautiful stuff. And so actually, maybe you can talk more about just your general way of managing clients' expectations, even, and making sure that you're delivering the best quality work for them.
One, I think you shouldn't have clients if they aren't creative. So I'm saying this from a
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they are. I mean, all of our clients are very much collaborative and in the process. And I think this is all how we approach things. Other places do not do this. Other places I've worked at do not do this in this type of way. My goal from a client relation standpoint is I want to be their in-house team of sorts. Whether they have other agencies in their IMC or whatever, I still want to be involved. I want to be, we have weekly meetings with them, even if there's nothing to discuss, just to see what's going on with their business. We want to be so ingrained in their business that I am essentially the chief creative officer of their business, and Tavern is their design team that services anything that they may need. And you need to be really close, which is not effective from a cost perspective, but very effective from a relationship perspective, if we want to cut it down to business. And so being very close to the clients and hearing them and working with them is what makes better creative and what makes the creative really good. Because they do, whether we think we're so smart or not, they do have a lot more context and information on how this is going to ultimately affect the business of the brand that we don't have, that we need from them. So we do need to collaborate I think it's a note for everyone. You do need to collaborate regardless because of that, just naturally. And some of this is obvious, but we forget it very quickly when we want to go win awards or, do a cool new rebrand of something that might not need a rebrand. So they have all this information, and I believe that, and how we've been working at Tavern specifically, is like quicker, dirtier, faster, heavily involved with the client. So rapid communication with the client to a fault. Sometimes that I'm like texting clients are essentially my friends now, and we're texting like all weekend long, literally. It's fun for me. It's fun. I'm assuming it's fun for them that they're texting me on the weekend about shit. But like, that is where you start to get a good relationship, and the work gets better that way. Because if not, you're just solving their problems. You're solving their briefs that might not agree with their brief or whatever. So I do think like being really close to the client and really like early and often sharing is great. We don't do any mic drop, some specific things. We don't do mic drop presentations. So like I worked at a bunch of places, two specifically that was like the whole team, you get briefed, you got 3 weeks, the whole team's on it. We're going to throw everything on it. It's going to pitch style first round. We're going to knock their socks off, and it's going to be provocative, and they're not going to love the answer, but we're going to get them to buy the answer and this and that. And so you work all this time, all day, all night, pitch style, 3 weeks, burn the entire fucking team out on this really cool idea that we know is never going to get picked, but we got to push and we got to fight and we got to sell it. And then you give the whole presentation and you mic drop and you say, you happy or what? And sometimes they are, fine. But sometimes they're fucking pissed off that you just wasted 3 to 6 weeks on this mic drop that they're like, you didn't answer the brief. You didn't do anything I wanted to. So none of that. I call it Tarantinoing the deck, where you put the answer in the upfront, and then you explain the answer, and then you give them the answer again. So you tell them the end of the story, you tell them the story, you give them the end of the story. I like to do that kind of rapidly with them so that they know they're not getting surprised. If they get surprised, it better be because we over delivered or gave them more faster than they expected. Like that's really the extent of what I believe surprising should be. Because if not, you could get off course really quickly with a mic drop presentation, and then you lose the client. I've lost clients because of it. And agencies will tout themselves. They don't deserve us. It's like, no. At the end of the day, we're not here to win shiny awards for an agency or even the marketer. We're here to influence and improve the bottom line, and or build awareness and or build brand health. All of those equal better bottom lines, in my opinion, and should, from a marketing perspective. So yeah, no mic drops, no going crazy, just early and often and constant communication. I also think, and the proud design thought leaders may or may not agree with this, and not on air will tell you that it's bullshit, but I truly believe you are only as good as your client counterpart, and by working with them closely early and often, it does make better creative every single time. And people think it's bullshit. I think people think that they're smarter than they are. We're not smarter than we are. We are better in teams. The reason why Tavern has teams, the reason why agencies have teams, is because you need a lot of people in the room thinking on the same problem, working together. And I don't think that that is subject to just the agency. It has to be subject to the client as well. And I also think that that goes for the greater IMC as well. The ad agency, if there's one involved with us, if we're not handling that, the press agency, definitely, the media agency, definitely. Without, not telling them what to go do at the end and go execute for you is not going to make for a great launch of whatever media they're buying for you. It's going to be a lot fucking better if they're in the initial briefing and in every single briefing with you and the client along the way, telling you, here's how you can elevate that idea. Here's how we could do a more specific localized buy or whatever. Here's a publication that is itching for something like this. Maybe you should tailor it this way for a press hit piece or whatever. So like, I truly believe that like working in teams with partners is the only way to make great work and the only way to get to award-winning work, frankly.
That makes a lot of sense. Can you talk more about your teams then? Like when you're operating within your agency, do you guys just have, what sort of practices do you guys use that you think are most effective?
I think, so our breakdown is fairly traditional. So like we have design, it's kind of a triumvirate. You have design, accounts, and strategy. And typically, how typical places work is you have accounts get the brief or found the client or whatever, or the client, is a steady and they get the brief. And then maybe they give it to the creative director, but mostly goes to strategy, and then they work on the scope of work and whatever. So you got strategy kind of working with accounts, kicks off. Design may or may not be privy. Maybe they know it's coming in. Strategy then works on the whole project. And this is very old school way of doing it, but this is very much still happens. So then strategy does the whole project, and then they hand it to design and say, go make this. And design throws it in the fucking trash, says, go fuck yourselves, and redoes the entire project the way that they want to do it. Nearly every time I've been at a place where this happens. You can look at my LinkedIn and do the math. It's probably the biggest one, if you will. And that didn't happen every time, but it happened a lot. And so we tried to fix that. And I think the way to do this properly, and from that point, started to do it a little bit better at Design Bridge, and then really tailored it when I was at Tavern of how we do it. The triumvirate meets at all times. So you have the head of accounts, the head of strategy, and the head of design, depending on the project. Sometimes that's my design director who's going to go meet with them to go do the project because that's what they've been working on and they're closer to it. Sometimes it's me because it's a new brand, whatever. And that divvies across the three departments as well, right? You have an ops director who's involved kind of keeping everyone in line as a quote unquote project manager, though I don't want to call Amanda just that. She's more of a director of sorts. So you have the triumvirate meeting at all times from the scoping from the beginning. So everyone's involved in the entire process, and you stagger the approach while keeping everyone involved throughout the phases. So phase one is strategy. Design is heavily involved in every single check-in. So for instance, if we're doing, discovery and rebrand project in phase one, where it's just discovery and initial brand strategy, and then phase two is full brand strategy, the design director and sometimes even the rest of the team, depending on the size and scope of if it's Sizzler, it's the whole team, just so they're ready and abreast on it, because we know it's going to be big and we want it to seep into their minds. So they're involved in all of these strategic upfront conversations, check-ins, critiques, whatever. which is a waste of fucking time on paper. Procurement and finance will tell you don't fucking do that. These meetings are costing you $1 million in human capital as you go along. But it's going to pay off tenfold later on when they fully understand the brand before they even start designing anything and they feel a part of it. And this goes, this is an internal process. This also goes for the client where you have WIP check-in, work in progress check-ins, and more often check-ins that are kind of more workshopy than like big crazy decks and presentations. And by doing so, again, everyone is just involved. Everyone's involved and starts to build institutional knowledge. So as strategy locks in, solidifies, and we get into the design phase, then strategy typically falls off. They don't really care where it ends up. At shitty agencies, they come in at the very last minute and are like, why the fuck did you change everything? We need to change it all back. And then then the account person gets pissed off because they have to go back and tell that blah, 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 blah. It's a disaster. So instead, strategy then stays on and is in every single check-in, which is redundant to a degree, but they're kind of there, kind of like bumping and pushing you on course. When you're like
a pinball machine.
A pinball machine, yeah, or like in space when they have the little like blasters from the side. I just watched For All Mankind.
Yeah. Yes, I
just like little spritzers just to like keep you straight. Yep. It's very much that. It's just like, get in the right area as you guys are designing. I don't want to fuck up your process, but like I need you to stay within the confines so we're not going off. And so by keeping strategy there early and often, also with the client, we're not just doing all this work and hoping they pick it. We're teasing out the work, sharing with them more often with mood boards, whatever, to be like, is this generally where you want it, so that we're guiding them. And then you go through the full process where basically everyone's involved. Of course, accounts is involved. So if you look at it from like, it would be staggered as like 3 on a little like bar graph. You'd have accounts, then you'd have strategy, and then you'd have design finish it out. It's very much like a straight bar line to where everyone's always involved at all times in varying degrees, in less cumbersome deliverable points of view, but, very much abreast and involved, having a POV, making sure it's in the right place. And so that's a little different from a lot of places. Places will say they do it. Actually getting people in a room to do that, that's where accounts come in too. They're not just managing the client, they're managing the internal and making sure everyone's talking with each other at all times, and that, design isn't going on a tangent or strategy is going on a tangent and whatever that, could potentially happen. So it's very much that is a way of working. And then our teams are literally those 3 in varying degrees from, director, junior, middle, senior, design director, creative director, which we don't have. So that just all bubbles up or down to the design director or up to me, because I'm more founder, creative director of all of it. And then strategy director, senior, junior strategist, middleweight strategist. Same with accounts, head of accounts, account director per kind of categories, hospitality, beverage, sports, whatever, kind of more focused there. And because we're small, the design and strategy team shifts under a little bit, but as you grow, as we grow and as agencies do grow, you kind of get more category or like brand client specific in this team. So it's like mini agencies within an agency is really what a big agency is.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you're telling me all this, because ultimately I feel like the hotels have, 7 or 8 brands within them. We've got like 4 or 5 different restaurants between them, cinema in the basement of the Roxy, right? And so we have completely different brand standards for a lot of these, and we've got a smaller marketing team. It does kind of, I don't know if you've felt this way, but a lot of in-house, especially the smaller companies, just sort of feel like mini agencies.
Yeah,
basically. Absolutely. And
are they? Sorry. I think that's success. Do you think that they're successful when they're like that?
I think it's a good step. I want to make sure that, and that's part of why I'm asking you how you're doing it. If there's things that I can glean from that information to then implement more into our workflows and how we maybe operate. Granted, again, that's sort of a process of just, we've got our higher ups who then will also guide us if it's in the right direction and what fits within our current thing, right? So I think that's what's tough about it, is everything kind of has to be bespoke. still to each individual industry, even, right? Hotels is a completely different industry than beverage, right? So that may just be completely different how those marketing teams have to approach those different
Yeah.
problems, right?
Yeah. I mean, so we have a bunch of, to dig deeper into one, we have a bunch of different beverage clients, both, and even within the alcohol space, there's a lot of different dark spirits and light spirits, obviously, but even like
Yep.
canned RTDs, malt beverage, whatever, beer, wine, whatever. So like it's even niche, right? And they're all very similar, but all very different. I think everything's bespoke. I saw somewhere like some like, dude bro business Instagram or some shit, um Nvidia guy or one of them being like companies are really messy and going into like the details of like a startup even to a major corporation and the mess within them. And it's like it was weirdly like as like douche content as that was, it was like weirdly like, oh yeah, this is okay that this isn't like a perfect process. Like if you do break down, and you've been in some, I've worked for a ton as the agency partner. Every organization is a shit show at the end of the day. It's just how tight do you get that shit show? Because it's all human beings, and human beings are not analytical and perfect and fit into boxes and just go execute like that. So creating bespoke solutions per brand, in your case, per client, and or even category of client, in my case, I just think is natural. I also think we are designers and creatives, yes, but and this is what we believe as an agency and what I truly believe, we are creative problem solvers. So if that means having a bespoke solution per brand under your house, that's the designer's job. That is, this design thinking went into that naturally, and I think that that's just how it goes. Like nothing's going to be clean. It's how do we organize this so that we get the best results out of it, even if it's a little messy. But I'd love to hear, I guess, your breakdown and like maybe even any problems or like what you're looking to kind of solve.
Solve. Be
Or
hard to
not,
get into
no.
too many specifics. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I think I sort of just detailed just the idea of like we've got all these different brands, right? And just what can I do to further improve that,
yeah,
right? Especially even just with my own practice. I think I might have emailed something about, when I'm putting together our email creatives, we do a lot of just email work. We're sending out 20% off deals for the hotels. Sometimes we'll just be, doing a messaging for one of the restaurants, the Soho Diner, right? And so a lot of that's just me also trying to figure out what is going to be impactful while on brand, right? What feels new. And, so this is where me, as one of the really only designers on this team, I've
mhm,
got a social media guy, a PR person. Again, small team for a not 400 to 500 person company.
yeah,
Granted,
totally,
that's all housekeeping. Um,
yeah,
so I'm trying to get to really what the struggle is, and I guess what I want to know is more about those processes that I can implement into my design work, let's say, so that that can also potentially even funnel upwards, if that makes sense. To say, oh, this is actually really working. Let's try to apply this to our other process. Like the way you were describing your timeline of a
yeah,
project would be nice to start talking about, I think, and especially say we do a big sale or cyber sale in October, basically. That's one of our biggest deals, biggest buys, right? So yeah, it's our biggest sale of the year, and we do a big creative for it. What can I do you think, that would make that process as impactful as possible,
yeah.
as for everyone in the room? Let's put it that way. Really good work, helps with the sales. What process should I implement, I
Okay,
guess?
I love this. This is fun. This is fun problems to solve. Taking everything we talked about early and often, full context. It's called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Um, Incredible because it talks about, all of the steps before the person makes the decision. And that it's very much in the context of branding and marketing and getting people to buy products. But I think it boils down to even, two people of just like seeding with them. And then they're like, of course, that's the answer they're going to choose. So read that. I think it'll be really helpful, just like high level concept wise for anything you're going to do moving forward, whether it's creative or internal. You have been here for 1 year and 6 months. So you went through one cycle of the October big sale, whatever, the October project, let's call it. So you have full context on how that ran, whether successful or not, what needs to be done, at least historically, what needed to be done, how it ran, what you can improve, and so on and so forth. I think you should open up Figma decks, make a full deck, and do a full audit. Treat yourself like both as an account person, ultimately writing the brief for this year. They're going to give you a brief, most likely. Write your own brief. And when they give you a brief, rewrite their brief and make it better. Because that, again, is giving more context. We do a lot of reverse briefs, which is a side thing. But like, if you get brief from a client, we kind of rewrite it in our way and tell you how we think we would solve this problem, kind of boiling it down, and then get them to agree to that. That's an option for this. But, off the jump, you know what it's going to be relatively. You do it every year. It's your big thing. So take the brief from last year, if you can dig it out of your email. Do that exercise, maybe rewrite that brief and put it on a page. I like to do brief in a tweet. So you do like 140 word character briefing. That could be your reverse brief. Doesn't have to be hard. You could probably do it with ChatGPT if you need to. Like, I'm not saying work hard. I'm saying just, use your tools and just context. So you have that. You put all your specs, deliverables as a page in the deck. I'm like writing the deck for you. Brief, rebrief, brief in a tweet, everything, all the specs in the deck of what you did last year, images of what you did last year, what worked, everything that was successful from last year, what didn't work, everything that could be improved, or everything that didn't work, what could be improved. Here's how I think we can do better this year. Here's what, and then you have a general audit. This you could do in probably like 30 minutes, to be honest. Like, you already did it. You have the background. But I would type this all and make it into a deck. The action of putting it into a deck is going to be very helpful in the long term, because it's write it down so you can remember it, that whole adage, whatever. But it is very helpful, I still think, to do that, because then before you kick this project off in October, I'm assuming you're going to be working on it in a month or two just to get ahead of things. I think you call a meeting with everyone, even some higher ups, maybe not the CEO, but like most people that are going to be involved with this, and be like, hey guys, just want to do a retrospective of where we were last year. I rewrote the brief a little bit, and this is what I think, how we can make this more efficient and quicker. Because more efficient and quicker shouldn't be so you work less. It should be so that you have more time to make things better. That's how I look at efficiency. If you don't want to be doing creative all day, go get a fucking different job, right? I want to be doing creative all day. I don't want to be doing the redundant creative all day. I want to have, even if it's just thinking time, I want to have that time free. So make yourself efficient. It's like, here's how we can efficiently do this. I have the files already ready. Dude, like, screen grab your server link of like, here's all the files. We just need to update some, like, here, all the ones I labeled in red, we need to update really quick. Can do it. Here's the ones that are going to take more time, and like literally spell this all out. You're not going to bore anyone. It's going to be a 15-minute meeting, and you're going to be like, whoa, this is crazy that you are way ahead of the game. So you do all of these things, and it's going to help you in the long term. You being the designer, or maybe you get a designer. Maybe you have someone on your team. I'm just kind of thinking broader for you, as this can apply to other things. Maybe you have designers on your team, and then you're just being a good design director, putting all this together so you can have your designers under you go execute this and save them time from finding it on the fucking server, finding the ones that we have to change and not have to change. Let them doing the hard jump through hoops for no reason. You already have the context. You do it for them. So you put that all together and then put everything possible in a deck and take all of those people through this. Here's what we can do. And then what I would do personally is like, here's some ideas I had. Should I do for kind of everything, especially new business? Like, hey, I know you didn't ask for it, but here's some cool ideas. What do you think? So not only did you start the project before you were asked, you have a plan of action that's going to save time and money and efficiency. And now you're giving better ideas on how to improve from the last year. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be, I don't want it to be a lot of work for you. I just want it to be like, a process for you, because then you can duplicate that across everything. Because if you do have reoccurring stuff, we have reoccurring stuff with Sizzler every year. It's a restaurant. There are 4 seasons in a year. 4 seasons we do different menus and LTOs. So now we plan accordingly. We staff accordingly. The team I have the right people on the team knowing, here's what you did last year. We're going to have to do it again. So we're always prepared to kind of service that. We get better every year over year on that. Better so that we have more time to work on bigger, different projects, like a store rebrand versus, rolling out the same summer menu, which we know is going to be most likely the same from last year with minimal tweaks. Making more money, saving more time, and so on and so forth. So I think having that deck, presenting it back, this is just how I think it could be. And it could be a couple pages even. You put them all on individual pages, clean it up, make it easy to digest. You're going to look like the best employee that ever worked in this 500-person company. I mean it. You're going to put this together when no one asked you to, and people are going to be like, what? Wow. Okay. And anyone that's like, why the fuck are you wasting my time with this, is an idiot and will never happen. Imagine someone bringing something to you that's so put together and thought through, and they're like, you just wasted my time so you can go do the project that you're going to have to do anyway. No, they're going to be like, who's this person with initiative? So I think overdoing, like in the same way we do it with creative, I think do it with our process too, of like doing work. I found this year 3 of owning a studio, many years of working in an in-house and at agency. Everything's a lot harder and more cumbersome than we initially think it is. And I equate it to like practicing with sports. Like, you have to practice a lot more than you have to play. And this is a perfect example of just practicing and getting reps in. And it's hot and it sucks. It's like going to the gym to be better at golf. That's fucking annoying. I'd rather be playing golf. Right? That's fun. Right. One's fun, one sucks ass and is a chore to go do every other day. But when you go do that every other day, it makes playing golf a hell of a lot more fun when you're out driving everyone else. To over explain the example. And I think that's exactly this. If you do all of this upfront work, your process in October or September when you're developing it for October is going to be like that. So whether you're going to look like a star, you're going to have now a process built you can replicate next year and make it even better. Ideally, making them money, right? Because that's the whole goal of this campaign anyway. And whether it's you're saving the money from your team standpoint or actual output in the creative you're creating, it's a win-win. It's going to be easier for you year over year. It's going to be easier for you. And I think it's going to be easier for you to train people. And then you ultimately grow as you build your design team in-house, which I'm assuming is probably a goal of yours.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, that's a long way out. Yeah, we'll see.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It'll be a good experience if you go somewhere else and you do have to build a team out.
That is the hope. I truly, that's why I'm glad you got on here today. Always just looking for more mentorship. I've only been in New York City for about a few years now. So it's always it's much nicer being here to meet more people like that and just see more of the work, right? And Tavern's a great example, So cool. I do hope that I can garner more information from you eventually, because I'll implement some of this stuff and let you know how it goes.
Please do. Send me that deck. I'm going to hold you accountable for that.
Okay, sounds good. I'll write that down. All right.